Welcome to Ecamm. Today, I'm going to show you how to use countdown timers inside your Ecamm live video productions. This can be for a live stream, training courses, webinars, so forth and etc. Now, there are times where you want to show a timer on the screen in order to cover a particular segment, make sure that you keep things on track, or you're just doing a live stream and you want to break up these different segments. You want to transition to the next scene. All of these things can be done with the built-in countdown timers. Now, this is so easy. I'm even going to show you a couple of shortcuts that you can use if you don't have time to design anything, but you need something really quick. So let's dive in real quick. So here in Ecamm, what you want to do is go to your overlays window and you can click on this little timer icon here in the bottom. If for some reason your overlays window is not open, you can open it using the command right bracket or go up into the window menu. They're in alphabetical order. You come down until you see overlays and that will bring you here. So at the bottom of the overlays panel, you'll see these 3 digits. That is your clock indicator. You want to click upon that and you can see we have a bunch of different types. We have countdown for a particular amount of time, countdown to a time every day. You can count down to a date in time, like say you want to, take it out to Christmas, right? Over here, you would type in say 12/25, and then that would take you over to Christmas Day. Wow, 113 days. You can specify a clock, a stopwatch, short date, medium date, or long date. So you can select any one of these above to be an on-screen timer. We're going to start down to countdown for amount of time. So say we want to get ready to do a stream and we want to put in a 2-minute countdown before we start the stream. Some of the options I have available are auto start, which will basically means when the clock shows up, it just starts counting. You can turn that off if you'd like to start the clock manually. And then another one that we have is go to the next scene with finished. So this is cool because it allows you to take this directly to the next scene whenever you get it started. So let's click upon this and just say, go to the next scene when finished, and then we'll go ahead and press add. So here's your clock and you can place it wherever you want. Of course, you can use the sides to grab it, adjust it, move it wherever you would like it to go. And that's your on-screen timer. Now, of course, you can control the font. You can control the background. You can make it color. You can make it gradient. You can even add a little motion to it, which depending on the speed of your machine, I don't necessarily suggest. If you have a fast machine, it won't matter. You can adjust things like text margin, add a border, so forth, so on, etc. You could even come in here and adjust the opacity, like if you want it to be there, but not be like super bold. And I'll show you where that comes in handy. You can even rotate it a wee bit if you wanted to get fancy with it. Of course, you can recenter by just double clicking the little bubble. You can even place it on a little perspective, which is tilted to the back, either direction that works for you. And of course, we have things like blend mode. These are very accustomed to, say, Photoshop, right? So you can try either blend modes, and then you can do a transition. If you're using this in the middle of a show and you were to press this, it would allow it to animate in any various ways you want. And then, of course, you can add things like shadow, all of the above. Again, I tend to leave shadow off because it just makes the video harder to render for, say, live streaming. But if your scene needs it, of course, you can always add that. So that is the simple clock. And again, with this particular way, I have to press the play button in order to get it started. If you set it for auto, as soon as the scene shows up, it starts counting. Now, what a lot of people do is at this particular point in time, you'd want to add a little music. So instead of using this exact scene, let me show you something cool. I'm going to take this clock and I'm going to press on Command X to make it disappear. Now, I'm going to make a brand new scene and I'm going to call this countdown. And then with this scene intact, I am going to place in that clock by just pressing the paste button. At this point in time, I'll make this guy as big as we want. And actually for this particular situation, I'm going to turn off the background, take it, select it to none. So all we have is the clock. Now, one thing I didn't mention, but I think we should talk about is it's important to understand that certain fonts will make the clock dance. So if I go to edit this countdown, what you want to pick on is inside your Ecamm folder or your Mac folder, you want to go to fixed width. Anything that shows up in this fixed width will work perfectly fine because it will not dance as the numbers count down. If you use a fancy font, say, and it's not really styled out for this, that font may dance while the number is changing. So let me give you an example of this. I'll use this particular font here and I'll select OK. And when I press play, I want you to pay attention to how the clock is changing sizes. That's because the font are not a fixed width, meaning each individual character is not the same size. So if you want to avoid that, because it does look a little quirky, when you go to edit your timer, you want to select on a fixed width font. If you go looking for new fonts, you look for the words fixed width or mono spaced. So if I was to select something, I like them to be a little bold. I just think it looks better. Let's go to IBM Plex Mono, not the sexiest font, but it is mono spaced. And you see I have a whole bunch in here because I tend to go hunting for these things. Osaka is another good one. There's so many in here. You can just, go through until your heart's content and find something that works. So let's start with this one, and then I'll go ahead and press OK. And then I can bring this out to as large as I want. I'll place it here in the center, and then I'll just start this timer, and there's my timer for the stream. Now, what I want to do is add a little bit of music. So I have a folder that I keep on my computer that has all of my various assets in there. So I'll go to the Ecamm folder, and then I'll click on sounds, and I'm going to grab this particular track and drop it into the sound library right there. Ecamm, of course, gives you a warning not to use copyrighted music because that will get your stream shut off if you're doing a live stream. If you're doing a Zoom meeting, it's up to you. But I can click upon this song, and I see I have basically 1 minute and 40 something seconds on that song. So I'm going to drag this into this scene. And so now, if I were to start here at this particular scene and go to the next, it will instantly play that music and start the timer. I lied. I didn't have the timer set for autoplay. Okay, so now we're going to try that again. This time it'll work. So simple as that, you can build a really cool timer. Now, let's say we want to make this a little bit more interactive. I will stop the music and I'll show you how to remove it. I can stop that there. If I want to remove it, I just need to come up here and press upon this. If you need to adjust the level, you can press here and turn the volume down a wee bit so it's not too loud. If you downloaded the song that's really loud, and you can say when the scene ends, stop the music. If you turn this off, the music will continue into the next scene. Say you like to start and then have the music slowly fade out. So let me go ahead and get rid of this. Now I want to show you one other trick that we can do is on this particular scene, I'm going to set my master camera as my camera. Bingo. I'm going to bring up a rectangle overlay and go to shrink this down a little bit. Let's edit this. Why is it so huge? We're going to make this sort of a full screen size. So we're going to pop this up in the corner somewhere and then grab the edge, pull it down, and then I will place it under here, under the clock. And then using my Shift and Option key, I'm going to turn the transparency back a little bit. Remember, if you can't remember that or you don't have a jog wheel, if you hold Shift and Option and roll your mouse wheel, that adjusts the transparency or the opacity. If you don't have one of those things, using a trackpad or something, you could always adjust it right here inside the menu. But this allows me to have a clock that goes and you can kind of see that a person is there. Sometimes I like to do this whenever you're starting out so they know that they're just not sitting in a blank room. It shows the interactivity. It shows you getting ready. It allows you to be a little bit more human. So that is how you set up a countdown scene. I did promise you I was going to show you an absolutely easy way to do this, right? Now, in order to get, first of all, let's cover, in order to get the music, I tend to use either Epidemic Sound or Artlist. These are my favorite two places to get music from. There's many places, but you do want to make sure you have royalty-free music. It's absolutely important so that you don't get your individual products shut down. And for the bonus, for people who need one right away and they don't have time to design something, I want you to check out Overlays.uno. That's Overlays.uno. I will put the link in the description. They have a free plan, and if you decide to pay, it's like $3 a month for some really incredible overlays. So let's go here, select upon this, and let's pick a clock. So let's say we want to pick a clock that's counting down to an event. So I'll use this, and I'll say add this to my overlays. All right. And then now I want to edit this particular overlay. So let me move this out the way and go into the My Overlays section. Dun, 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 and then find my countdown timer that I just made. And once this loads, I can select my overlay. Now, I'm not going to edit the timer just in order to keep this video short, but you would basically go in here, change this to whatever you want. And then you can customize the base colors, the number colors, everything upon there. And then you can go in here and adjust any one of these various settings. But what I want to do is click on this thing that says output settings and then select that it's going to be landscape. I want the background color to be transparent. Yes. And I just want to press copy this URL. Once I have that URL copy, I can come back over here into Ecamm, and then I'm going to press on the little world icon and simply paste in that URL. And again, this is absolutely free. I like to change this to 1920 by 1080. And then I like to press high resolution mode, and I will select keep running. And what that does is if I have to come back to the scene, it doesn't need to reload. And then I would just go ahead and press add this widget overlay and give it a second to think because it has to call to the internet, and boom, there is my clock. Now, of course, 4th of July already passed, so that's why it looks like that. You can hold down the option key and crop this window smaller so you don't have anything that you can't click under, because whatever is in this transparency box, you wouldn't be able to click behind. But I can move this guy anywhere I want. I could also adjust the height, you know, how big it is, whatever the case may be. Now, what's really cool about this is even though I'm showing you this here, I can still edit that page and it will make those updates here in Ecamm. So if I was to go in and say, let's select this guy all the way to Christmas. Oop, that's New Year's. Let's select this to Christmas. I'll select December 25. And now it will update. And that tells you that we have 113 days, 12 hours, 6 minutes, and 2 seconds until Christmas. And again, Overlays.uno will come in the clutch if you need something really fast and you just don't have time to get down and make something. So that, my friends, is how easy it is to do overlays inside of Ecamm. Of course, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you could always reach out to us, and we are more than happy to dive in and give you a hand. And just remember, we're Ecamm, and we're here to help.